beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Jennifer Diamond, and I live a whole food, plant-exclusive, SOFAS-free, gluten-free lifestyle for health and well-being. And today I thought I would bring you along while I make myself some savory oats. So I've been making savory oats for many years now from the, originally from the Engine 2 cookbook, and this is by Rip Esselstyn and Jane, and their father is the cardiologist, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and anyhow, their mom, Anne, on page 43, my original recipe is called the Savory Breakfast Oats, and I used to make that all the time. And then Jane and Anne put together this cookbook, Be a Plant-Based Warrior Woman. Live fierce, stay bold, and eat delicious, as they say. And on page 59, they have many variations of a similar recipe. And so I'm going to make most the base comes from those recipes, and so I'm just going to show you how I do it and see if if it's something that you haven't tried, if you'd like to try it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use steel cut oats. Now, I do have another recipe where I used rolled oats to make a sweet version of oatmeal, and this one is using a different oat, and I do talk about the different types of oats cut. So steel cut oats is like there's the wheat, and then there's the oat groat, and then there's the steel cut, and then there's the rolled oats, and then there's instant oatmeal, and so on. So we're going to use this one. In case you're not familiar with it, I'm going to show you what they look like. And they're literally the oats that have been cut on both sides. And they take a little longer to cook. They've got a lot of benefits. Let's see what they say here. The carbs are 30 grams of carbohydrates in a quarter cup. They've got a lot of calcium, 24 milligrams. They've got 2 milligrams of iron, 193 milligrams of potassium, which is great for me. There was a time when I had potassium deficiency, which I don't now, and so that's a good one to know. I personally like this brand, 1 Degree Organic Food. It's glyphosate-free, which is important to me, and it is also gluten-free. So enough said about that. I'm going to go ahead and get my pot that I'm going to use, and I'm going to start with putting my oats in there. And then I have this Muir Glen organic diced tomatoes, fire roasted, no salt, canned tomatoes. Now, you don't have to use canned tomatoes. You can use sun-dried tomatoes or fresh tomatoes. I happen to be out of fresh tomatoes, but when I do have them, I actually really prefer using the cherry or the grape smaller tomatoes. I cut up a little handful and I throw them in there. And the reason why that's my preferred method is because sometimes the tomato has a little acidity and sometimes it doesn't sit right with me, and it seems that when I cook them down fresh, from their whole just little shapes, the natural shapes, they don't seem to bother me as much. But today I'm going to go ahead and use these. These are wonderful and they have a lot of flavor. I'm going to go ahead and put in a little less than half a can, and then I'm going to store it in a jar and use it up for something else. If I don't use it within, say, the next 5 to 7 days, I would go ahead and freeze it and use it at another time. So there we go. So far, we've got that in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way. And I have some fresh garlic that I thought would be really tasty in here. And so I'm just going to open that up and chop that up with you. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the little bell for notifications so you'll be notified when we go live or post new videos. And go ahead, hit the like button, put in a comment, and let us chat and talk about how do you make your oats? Have you tried savory oats? And what other things would you put in your oats? All right, so back to the garlic. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. This one, like some of my other ones, looks like it's starting to sprout, and so it's fine for me to eat that. I'm just going to remove that inner sprout and discard it and chop the rest up. So you can mince this up any way you'd like. You can put it through a little garlic press, hand chop it, whatever you'd like. Some people even buy garlic already minced in a jar, just as long as it doesn't have any oil or salt or sugar, then or even preservatives. For me, then I would be okay to use that. So let me grab my little favorite scooper guy and go ahead and scoop those right in here. Look at that, looking pretty. And then, like I said before, I'm going to add some spices. I'm going to put in some onion powder and a little bit extra garlic, the granulate, just because I'm a garlic lover. And so you decide. That's the beauty about this. You don't have to use exactly what I'm using, especially if it's something that you don't like. But this gives you a base, an idea of how to make something delicious and nutritious for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or even snack. Really, it doesn't matter. Okay, so next what I want to add, and I'm not going to use these because we use the other ones, so I'm going to put those aside. Next what I'm going to add is some turmeric. And I have fresh turmeric today. You can use ground turmeric. Turmeric is really great because it's an antioxidant, and it also is nice because it gives it a pretty color. So I'm just going to cut off a little bit of the outside of this, skin, so to speak. And I really like turmeric for health benefits. To keep inflammation down, for me, it's really important. So not only is it flavorful, but it's got so many nutrients. Now, turmeric does stain your hands, the fresh one, and I just took the skin off. So if I was concerned about it, which sometimes I am, I would just recommend that you wear some kind of glove. But I'm going to go ahead and just use the microplane and just add some turmeric right in to our dish here. And that is what that's looking like. There you go. So next, what I'm going to do is add some mushrooms. Now, you can use fresh mushrooms, button white mushrooms. You can use cremini. You can use shiitake. You can use oyster. Any mushrooms will work for this. Today, I am using a bag of frozen shiitake mushrooms, which I find to be really handy, and I use a lot when I cook this because if I run out of mushrooms, this is a great one because I'm going to cook it down anyways. So whether it's fresh or frozen, it really doesn't matter. And so I'm just going to pour some out of the bag, and I like this brand. It's an organic brand, I should say. It's Woodstock. I guess it's called Woodstock. And it's organic. And I find this at our local farmers, our local Sprouts grocery store. So we do buy a lot of mushrooms from our local farmers market, but they're not frozen, they're fresh. And then what I like to do is just cut them up a little bit. Now they're frozen, so you got to be really careful. But I like them just a little bit more of a bite size. Just keep your fingers out of the way and you're good. All right. So now what I'm going to do is add these to our mixture. Take a look at that. There we go. And I'm going to move this over here. I already used that. Some people really like nutritional yeast because it gives it kind of a cheesy flavor. And other people just, they don't want it. So I am going to use a little bit of Nooch. This happens to be Well Your Worlds, and it is non-fortified, gluten-free, nut-free, vegan. You don't have to use it. You can skip it altogether. I'm just going to use a small amount of it. Just pour it right in there. All right. Okay, and so lastly, for now, what I'm going to do is just add some fresh filtered water from my Berkey. I already measured out. I'm going to do a little bit more than 2 cups. Pour that right in there. And then I'm going to stir it. Just give it a little stir to mix everything up like that and get it on the stove. What I'm going to want to do is bring this up to a boil and then turn it down and let it simmer. It can stick to the bottom, so I want to make sure that I'm moving it around, and I want to cook it until it's, you know, cooked. Now, steel cut oats tend to be chewier, nuttier. They could take longer time to cook, and so it could take, you know, anywhere from 15 minutes, maybe even a little longer, depending on what you like. If you don't like it that crunchy, cook it a little bit longer and it'll, you know, soften up, cook a little bit more. So in the meantime, we're gonna prepare for what else we're gonna use. And so I like to use chia seeds and flax seeds in this particular dish. I'm gonna go ahead. Although you don't have to grind your chia seeds, today I'm going to go ahead and grind my chia seeds. These are an organic, gluten-free chia seed, and then I also am going to grind up some golden flax seeds. These are the Terrasol, and they are raw and sproutable organic, and just something that I use. So I happen to have a dry mix container, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. I like to grind up my flaxseed about a few days at a time, not more than that, because I really would prefer to grind it up and use it as fresh as possible. And that's why I don't currently buy, or I never have really, the pre-ground. So give me a second. Let's plug in our Vitamix and grind that up. Okay? Ah, much better. Okay. It almost looks like snow, although the wrong color. So I'm going to put the excess in this small jar and keep it in the refrigerator. And I am just going to add some flaxseed right in my bowl. And the extra flaxseed I'm going to put in here because I'm going to use the container to grind the chia seeds. I decided not to do them together because I want to store them separately so that I have a better idea of how much of each I'm using every time I use it. Okay, what the heck. Okay, so that's what I have extra for the next few days. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator. And now I'm going to go ahead and put in some chia. You don't, like I said before, you don't need to grind up your chia, but sometimes I think it's nice because it, you know, doesn't get stuck in my teeth. But Either way works. The flaxseed you must grind up. Otherwise, you'll just have it go right through you and your body will not know to absorb because it can't break it down. So here we go. One more time. Beautiful. All right. So now we've got our chia and our flax. I'm going to add some of the chia to my bowl. And I could have gone a little bit more, but this is great. So there, I have that ready and set aside. And like I did with the other one, I'm going to go ahead and store this in the refrigerator, and I'll have to get a jar for that. So next, I want to bring in some greens. I love my greens. I need my greens, and I recommend everyone eat your greens. So what kind of greens do I have for this? Well, I've got a couple different ones. When my containers run full or I have too many, then I tend to roll them up. So I have in here washed, but looking like it needs to be eaten. What we have here is some bok choy, which is kind of underneath, and I already had taken it apart and cleaned it, and that's not dirt, that's just part of it. So I'm going to chop up the bok choy, and then this is kale. This is a green kale. I'm going to go ahead and chop the kale up, and then I'm going to look and see what else we have here. So in this one, I've got some power greens and some other type of kale. I think I'm going to pull some of the other type of kale. This is the dino kale. It's already washed and chopped and ready to go. I'm going to put a little bit of the dino kale in. You can use any greens. You can use one, or you can use as many as you want. You can never have enough greens, if you ask me. And then in this one, I see we have some spinach. So this has also been washed and cleaned, and I'm going to add that. What I'm going to do also is take this extra that we're not going to use and put it aside. So these are my greens for my cereal today, and let's get chopping. And so I'm just going to give it a chop. Just give it a chop. I originally used to just use spinach or just use kale. And why not use anything, all of it? The more the merrier, you know? So I'm just going to chop this up. And I think that I would probably use a couple of cups, you know? So let's see, this one I'm going to pass on. Let's see what we have here. And another thing is greens cook down. So they are not going to, you know, be as big looking and full, and they're going to cook right down. So it's all good. I like cutting this down a little bit more, basically, mostly for the bok choy that I have in here. So what I want to do with this is literally, I'm going to add this into our pot now that it's started to go. So let's, I think what I'll do is I'll bring the pot over here so that you could see me add that. All right, and here we go. I'm going to give it a little stir. I want to make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan. You can see it's looking beautiful. And now I'm going to slowly add the greens. Now, you can wait to add the greens until it's almost cooked, but because I've got some hearty greens in the bok choy, I'm going to add it a little sooner. I mean, I have even added it at the beginning, but you know, spinach you don't really need to add too much in advance because it wilts and it'll cook down. In other words, there's no real rule about it. And look at that. All the greens are in there. So I want to gently try to mix it up. And whoops, I'll even put that guy in there because I'm the one eating it. All right, so just going to stir this up so you can see. And then I'm going to get it back on the stove. Now, there are a lot of greens in here. I am excited about that. Okay, let's get that back on. Now, I'm going to check it in a few minutes. If I find that it's sticking because I added so many greens and the water content is a little bit, not breaking down enough, there isn't enough water in it, I'll just add a little bit more water. So no big deal. But this is our finished bowl that we're going to use. And so I will continue to monitor that, and then we will be right back. Okay, it's been cooking up a little bit, and I wanted to check with you. I was cleaning up and putting things away, and so let's take a peek together. Ooh, let's see. Let's move this right there. Wow, look at that. Oatmeal. You would never know, huh? So I feel like it's not really sticking, but I was transferring some of the diced tomatoes into this container, and I thought, maybe I would add a little bit of water. And so I poured the filtered water in here so that when I pour it a little bit in there, I get the remnants of the tomato, so I don't waste anything. And I think just a little tiny bit is plenty. I'm gonna keep letting it cook. It's really cooking down nicely. Smells wonderful. We'll be back as soon as it's time to check it again, and maybe it'll be ready. All right, let's check. Things have been cooking down, and wow, it looks good. Look at that. Can you see that? Let's give it a little stir. Oh yeah, that looks great to me. Look at that. Nothing is sticking on the bottom because I kept stirring it every few minutes or so. And I'm gonna go ahead and taste it because I wanna make sure that they're cooked enough to my liking. The steel cut oats and everything. I like it. It's got a little bit of a crunch, but it's soft and it's cooked. So if you wanted it softer, you could keep going. I'm gonna go ahead and plate this. This looks great. So here I have our flax and our chia in the bowl, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in. Now, am I gonna eat this whole entire thing? Maybe. And if I don't finish it, I can reheat this tomorrow or another time. But look at that. So I'm gonna mix up the chia and flax. Wow, that's beautiful, isn't it? Okay, so there's a couple more things that I want to add to this, but if you like a little bit of heat, you could do a crushed red pepper, which I think I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do like a little pinch, just a little pinch. Okay, and you could do fresh jalapenos. I have serrano peppers, anything that you like that has heat. Some people really like Cholula hot sauce. You could add that, or sriracha hot sauce. I personally am not going to use these because they do have sodium. And let me see, does this one have sodium? Yeah, they both have sodium, but if you're not watching that and you are interested, this is really good. I do know that Well Your World has a sriracha. I've been wanting to try, so hopefully at some point I'll be able to order that, and then I would go ahead and use that one. And then the last thing I want to show you is my homegrown sprouted broccoli sprouts. And you know what? I'm just going to add that right on top. An extra dose of goodness. There we go. Look at that. And this could sometimes be my second breakfast, which is after my either raw salad or steamed vegetables, sometimes up to a pound. Yes, it's true. Today, I'm going to go ahead and try this with you, and I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you try it if you haven't, and like I said before, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Bursting with so many delicious flavors, and it's nice and warm, which is great for this time of year. I love it. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Take care, and we'll see you soon. And don't forget to eat your greens. Bye-bye.